You wouldn't notice the old well unless you knew exactly where to look. It doesn't sit by the road. It's hidden a mile off Briar Road, behind a sagging fence and a dying field that nobody has farmed in decades. You can't even see it from the tree line anymore. The grass grows too high, swallowing everything in summer. And in winter, the snow settles so heavy it erases the path entirely. But it's there, waiting. The locals don't talk about it unless they've had too much to drink. When they do, it's always the same warnings. Don't get close. Stay off the land after dark. You don't want to wake it up. I only found it because of a dare. I was 17, stupid in the way you can only be when you still think you're invincible. Small towns rot you from the inside out with boredom, and daring each other to do something dangerous was one of the only ways to feel anything real. It was Jonah's idea. We'd heard the rumors growing up, every kid in town had, about strange lights over the field, about voices that whispered your name from nowhere, about the animals that would go missing every fall when the fields dried up and cracked. But it all sounded like the usual campfire junk to me, folklore to keep little kids from sneaking off at night. 3 of us went, me, Jonah, and Kyle. We waited until late, almost midnight. Jonah borrowed his dad's truck, and we drove out past the last set of working streetlights. After that, Briar is just broken pavement and tree shadows, the kind of road that feels like it's folding in on you. We found the fence easy enough. Half of it was flattened, strands of rusted barbed wire twisted and tangled in the dirt. Beyond it was just dry, dead grass stretching out like a sea of brittle knives under the sliver of moonlight. You could almost pretend there was nothing wrong with it, if you didn't pay attention to the way the trees around the field leaned away from the center. If you didn't notice the way the air got heavier, thicker. We trudged through the field for what felt like hours, the dry stalks slashing at our legs. The wind died the second we crossed the fence line. No insects, no birds, just the sound of our breathing and the crunch of boots on dead earth. And then the land dipped. It was just a subtle sink in the ground, but it pulled at your gut when you saw it, like your instincts knew this place was wrong long before your brain could catch up. At the center was the well, old, black. The stones were slick with moss and cracked with age. Vines spilled over the lip, clawing down into the darkness, like something trying to climb out. It wasn't just abandoned. It looked hungry. Jonah was the first to get close. Of course he was. He was the loud one, the brave one, the one who always had something to prove. He walked right up to the edge and peered down, said it smelled like river mud and wet copper. Kyle dared him to throw something in, a rock, a coin, anything. Jonah grinned, picked up a stone, and tossed it into the dark. We waited. No splash, no clink of stone against stone, just silence. A deep, endless silence that seemed to eat the sound of our breathing. Then, something else. A low, scraping noise, deep below, like fingernails dragging slow circles across the inside of the stone walls. We started backing away then, quietly, the bravado bleeding out of all 3 of us at once. Jonah tried to laugh it off, but his voice cracked halfway through. That's when we heard the first whisper. At first it was easy to pretend it was the wind, soft, hissing through the dead grass. But then it sharpened. Jonah. Clear. Deliberate. Dragging out the syllables like it was savoring the sound of him. Jonah went stiff, eyes wide, and for a moment I thought he was going to bolt. But he just stood there, trembling. Then it called Kyle's name. Kyle. Softer, almost tender. Kyle backed up fast, tripping over himself in the loose dirt. I grabbed him by the jacket and yanked him up, We didn't wait for it to say my name. We ran. The field seemed twice as big on the way back. The grass clawed at our legs. The ground felt wrong underfoot, spongy, like we were running over something that wasn't solid. I didn't look back at first, didn't want to. But when I stumbled and glanced over my shoulder, I saw Jonah still standing at the edge of the well. He was reaching down, like someone was holding his hand. His knees buckled. He collapsed onto them, hands braced on the stone rim. Kyle screamed at him, begged him to run. I screamed too. Jonah didn't even blink. Instead, he leaned forward, slowly, until the top half of him vanished into the well's mouth. And then the scraping sound returned, louder now, filling the hollow like grinding bones. We made it back to the fence somehow. Kyle sobbing, me half dragging him by the arm. When we crossed back onto the road, it was like a spell broke. The wind returned. The insects buzzed. The normal sounds of the world rushed back in to cover the silence. We called the police that night. We told them Jonah had run off. We didn't tell them about the voices, or the well, or the cold, dragging feeling trying to hold onto our ankles as we fled. They found Kyle 2 mornings later, slumped against the same broken fence where we'd climbed over. Frostbite on his hands and feet, eyes wide open, lips cracked and blue. His fingernails were ripped down to the beds. He'd clawed at the ground so much that he'd torn them clean off. The official report said exposure, said he must have wandered back out there, disoriented, and gotten lost. Nobody mentions the footprints they found around him. Dozens of them, barefoot, sinking too deep into the dry dirt, like something heavy and wet had climbed out of the well to greet him. They never found Jonah. They stopped looking after a week. I never went back, but sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet and thin, I dream of that place. I dream of the well, of the stone rim slick with moss, of a hand, pale and dripping, reaching up from the dark. Sometimes, when I wake up, I swear I can still hear something calling my name through the open window. Soft, patient, waiting. The old-timers were right. You don't get close to Black Briar after dark. You don't go near the well. You don't even look at it. Because once it sees you, it never forgets. If this story unsettled you, good. That means it found its way into the quiet corners of your mind. Leave a like to let it know you heard it, and subscribe if you want to hear the next voice calling from the dark. Some stories are patient, some are already waiting. Choose carefully what you listen to next.